Hello, good afternoon, everyone. There are six here, or five already waiting. So, this afternoon, I'm gonna give you a lecture on harmonization, the basic one, just for the basic chords for now. Okay, so let's begin. Yeah. Okay, so there. So as you can see, I have the advanced staff now. I'll just move this closer. I think it's better now. Okay. You hear me fine? Is that okay? Okay, so. Just for review, let us know again the names of the notes, the scale. Okay, so this is the C major scale. So if you remember, could you still remember the names, the degree? So this one is called tonic, and then tonic, and then medium, 3, and then subdominant, dominant, submedium, leading tone, and of course another tonic octave. So that's a tonic octave. So these are the theoretical names: tonic, supertonic, median, subdominant, dominant, submedian, leading tone or subtonic, and then tonic octave. Now, also just to recap, I'll have to erase this and rearrange the notes so that you would know why they were called as such. So there. Okay. Okay. So since we don't need the other one because that's our tonic, it's right there in the middle. We need only 7 tones. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So this is called the tonic. Tonic. Now, from the tonic to the dominant, the distance from here to there, when you divide it into, hello, Charmaine, when you divide it in two equal intervals, you arrive to this one, which then would be called the median, because that's the middle note between the tonic and the dominant. That's the dominant. That's why it's called the median. So from tonic to dominant, that's the note right in the middle. And then, since this note is one note higher, hello, one note higher than the tonic, then we call it supertonic. There, that's why it's called supertonic, because it's higher than the tonic. The supertonic is higher than the tonic. And then, tonic, and then this one, so we named the three already, or the four, the tonic, and then the highest in this form scale is the dominant. That's why it's called dominant. So tonic, the next superior note is the dominant, because it's the dominant among all else, except for the tonic, of course, because that's the foundation. And then there's still one note that we haven't named in this part. Now look, since this is lower than the dominant, we will call it subdominant. Sub means lower. Super means higher. So supertonic, higher than the tonic. Subdominant is lower than the dominant. Now, let's see. This one is called the leading tone. The leading tone, or the seventh tone of the scale. Why? Because it leads to the tonic, Leading tone, it leads you to the tonic. You have to remember this because later, once we start with the harmonization, you will use that a lot, the leading tone to the tonic. So, there's still one note that's not named. So, this is equidistant here to like that. That's equidistant. So here, if this is called median, earlier this is called dominant. And because this is lower than the dominant, it's called subdominant. Now, look here. Since this is equidistant from here to there, from the tonic to here and tonic to down there, the lowest tone, then we would call it submedian. That's why the sixth tone is actually called submedian. It's lower than the median, lower than the middle. It's a lower middle. It's middle. Now here, if we put two notes also there, just to mirror those two, that is also the median. So if you look here now, this is the F clef and the bass clef or F clef. See right there. So the F clef here to there, you get another median, but that's the lower octave. So F clef or bass clef, median, the median from here to there. But since this is lower because it's in the bass line, then we will call it submedian. Of course, this was named already. This is an octave. This is an octave. So let's remove those two there, even if they're not there. Now you know that that's also median, but in the lower part of the scale. That's why it's called submedian. So that's the explanation, the naming the tones in the scale. Now all the tones in the scale will be named as such, regardless of key signature. So whenever we say tonic, in all key signatures, that's always the first note in the scale. So if you're in a G major, the tonic would be G. I'll erase this now. So down there. So now, if I put this here and I say this is the tonic, so what key signature are we in? What key signature are we in? If I say that's the tonic, we're in G major. But if I say this is the tonic, then what key signature are we in now? Since the lowest note, or this one, is right there in this line, first line, then this is read as E. So E, that means we're in E major scale. Now, if I say this is the dominant, well, we're still in E major because that's the dominant of this note. Okay, so there it is. Now, I'm going to use this marker one and just add one larger line here. So, always remember that when you analyze chords or when you name chords or tones, you always begin or start with the lowest note. This one. We don't need this yet because we're not dealing with sevens yet because this is 1, 3, 5, 7. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. But there will be a separate lesson about the sevens. It's going to be very difficult if I squeeze in everything now. So we only need 3 of those. But since we're going to start harmonizing a chord into 4 voices, SATB, if you know what that means, soprano, alto, tenor, and bass, then you would need this one to complete the chords. So you need to take note of this. The tonic is normally the one being doubled when we're dealing with 4 voices. So in this case, this is soprano. Of course, the lower one would be the alto, and then this one is the tenor, and then bass. Okay, so now, when you're going to harmonize the voices, especially for choir or for instruments aside from piano, then you'll have to spread them out. If it's keyboards, of course, it's better if they're closer together for your fingers to play on. If you're a keyboard player, then you don't need to spread them out too much unless you're doing an arpeggio playing. But in this case, I'm going to teach you how to harmonize for SATB, and that's also the foundation for string quartet. And string quartet is the foundation of a full orchestra. So once you know how to orchestrate or to arrange for string orchestra, same with the voices, then in the future you can actually arrange for the whole orchestra. So, you know the highest tone is always a soprano, alto, tenor, and bass. You have to take note of the rules, the simple rules. So, rule number 1. Double the tonic. So double means X. So X tonic. And then if it's not possible, you may also double the fifth. So it could be like this. Double the fifth. You will have to avoid doubling the third. So 1, 3, 5, 1, 3, 5. This one you can double. This one you can double. This one is a stinger. Do not double the third. So bear in mind, do not double the third. So this is for all the chords. It goes for all the chords. Even if the chord would be like that, this is still your 1, 3, 5. Or if it's like this, it's still your 1, 3, 5. So avoid doubling the middle one. Okay. So last time we dealt with the inversions. So now we know that this is C major with a double tonic. Now, can we spread them out? Yes, it's so easy to just spread them out. You can just choose where you would put the next octave. It could be down there, bass, or up there. So let's see, this one is too close to those two, so perhaps we'll put it there. So now, If you see here, your soprano is E. Earlier it was there, but it doesn't matter. It's now the highest note will always be called the soprano. And then that's the alto, and then the tenor and the bass. But there's a problem here because the bass is the voice, especially if it's a singer, this will be a little bit on the high side already. So why not lower it there? Soprano is fine. A soprano could sing even up to there. So it doesn't matter. So this one is not. But for an alto, this one could be a little bit on the higher side also. So why don't we give this voice to the tenor? So now, rule number 2. The distance between the intervals or distance between the tenor to the alto. So, rule number, I'll put these down here. Okay, so that's rule number 1. Okay, now rule number 2. The distance between the tenor to alto should be less than an octave. So there it goes. This is like a math problem. So the distance between the tenor and alto voice should be less than an octave. What is an octave? C to C. So it can be an octave, but not more than an octave. So equal to or less than an octave. Now, for alto, the soprano is the same. It should be equal to or less than an octave. That means from here to there should only be an octave or less or lower. Hello, Christine and Charmaine. So now, the last one would be the distance between these two. So the bass to tenor, actually could be equal to or more than an octave. So these are the only two voices that could open wide as like that or like that. That is completely fine. Because the voice of the bass actually sounds much better when it's lower, and the tenor can easily sing voice notes this high or even that high. So there will be no problem there. So normally and naturally, the distance between the two male voices are farther apart, like more than an octave. But of course, they can also be in the same note. Okay, so don't get confused. All of these could be like that: tenor, alto, or alto, tenor. For this one, soprano and alto. That's why there's the equal sign there. So the tenor and alto could have equal intervals. Okay. Now the alto and soprano could have equal intervals. Okay. But let's see now. So this is still C major chord, but is it an inversion? It's not an inversion. Why? Because the lowest note is still C, so it's not inverted. But then the third is the highest, and then the fifth is here. This is a double tonic, but then an octave. So this is still like this: two male voices there and two female voices, but then spread out or open note like that. So let's move closer there. So this is your tonic. So now let's label this one as tonic. So the basic movement of the progression would be tonic, subdominant, and dominant, then back to tonic. So let's see. What is the subdominant? Subdominant. This is subdominant. Hello everyone. So subdominant is, remember, F, this one, I need another note. So what do you want to double? Well, now it will depend on the given notes. So let's see. This can only be named a subdominant if you have the 1, 3, 5 F, A, and C. Now, when you're harmonizing, the notes should move closest to the tones that are already present. So, what are the present tones now? C, G, and E, or C, E, and G. So the first thing you should put is the lowest note, which is the F. So the F should go down to, of course, the F. Remember, the bass could go up or down, so it doesn't matter. Now, the next problem would be where to put the C and the A. Do we already have a C major here, or a C tone? Yes. So, since the C is already given from the previous chord, then might as well retain it. You just have to retain this one. Okay, there. So now F, C, this A. So it's up to you. You may go here, or you may go down there. Remember, what can we, this is the third, remember? So the third can only be used once. And then we also, what we could double is the fifth or the tonic. So what will be our soprano? So remember the chord for this is that. We already have one F. The C is there. We don't have an A yet. Do we want to put this here? Or do we want to double the tonic right away? I will keep it here. Since it's very close to the alto, then the alto will go up. So pay close attention to this one. Now, there's a problem because the soprano needs also to move somewhere else. So, do we need to go there, or there, or maybe here? So the basic rule now is if there's an octave, or when the outer voices, what do I mean by outer voices? The bass and the soprano. Remember this. When the movement of the outer voices are parallel, then you will have a very poor harmonization. That means you will have to oppose or counter the melodic line. So if the bass already went up, what can you do now? Then the soprano should at least retain its original position, which is E, but we don't use the sevenths yet. Therefore, since this went up already, the soprano should go down. If it goes down, should we go down to A or only to C? So, what is your answer? Should we go down here or here for the soprano voice? Well, we can be more proactive. You can write down, you can type your answers there. So, do we need to go to C or down to A? Still no answer. Okay, so in the first rule, you cannot double a third. Therefore, you cannot go down to A, since this is the third of the F major. This is your F major or the subdominant. The third cannot be doubled. Therefore, this will only go down there. So now, the subdominant chord is solved. This is how the voicing should move. Yes, very good. You move down only to C. And what did we double now? It's the fifth. The fifth of the chord was double. Or should I say it's double? It's there. So remember, you can double the tonic, you can double the fifth, but never the third. What should I actually put there? A tick mark and then X and sorry, and X and then another tick mark. You can double the ones, all the ones and the threes, but and the fifths, but never the three. No, you don't guess. You have to refer to the formula. This is math. Remember, music is math. So, let's recap. The tonic chord, of course, has three notes. The 1, 3, 5 earlier is C, E, and G. Then you have to spread them out. So the third one an octave higher, while the tonic we doubled it. So since that's the most basic rule, double the tonic. There. So this is the initial position of your four voices. Yes, very good. Tonic and dominant can be doubled, but not the median. Yeah, bear in mind. You have to remember that. Okay, so now the median went down to the dominant of the next chord. So the chord here is F, A, and C, or tonic, median, and dominant. So we double the dominant. These are the dominants. And then the third, of course, should only be 1. But since we already doubled this, the tonic remains 1. So what if you have a very good bass singer, or you really like to sing a very low tone or really low voice, and what you did first was you put this down here. So what should you do? Something must be done here, because remember, no parallel movements. Oh, I should put that. That should be letter C. No parallels. So avoid parallel, or this will be parallel movements. Meaning they cannot go, the outer voices cannot go down the same direction, or cannot go up same direction. So what do we do now? We can keep this. We can keep this and that one. Where do we put this to? So answer. This is simple math. This is simple math. Where do you put this dominant now? Because look, the movement is actually parallel. This went from this note to here, went down. From this note to there, it also went down. So what do we do with the C? Because we will keep these two. These two will be kept since they are already neighbors. This one is actually the same tone. So where do we put this? Make it E. Oh, we don't have a seventh yet. Our chord is F, A, and C. Tonic, median, dominant. So you can only double the fifth or the tonic. This is the fifth, this is the tonic. So now, yes, got it. This will go up to there. Problem solved. So now, the soprano went up while the bass went down. Very nice. Okay, so that's the subdominant. Now, let's see. Next chord is the dominant chord. What is the dominant of C major? So, what color do we use now? C major dominant is this one. So, let's clean this up a bit since we have a very low note there. This one. So now we have to move this voice first. Why? Because this one is really going down now. So what are the notes? G, B, and D. So where can this note go? Do you want to go down to D? That's already too low, I guess. And no more space for my board, so we'll have to do away with that. So what do we do? Maybe we could go up to, let's see, dominant, the lowest note is G. Why don't we go up to G right away? So let's use this code. It's there. So G. Now, this went up. So the next thing you would do is look at what voice. You need to look to the highest one, the soprano. Remember, bass and soprano. These are your main problems. The ones in between, the voices in between, you don't have to really to, well, problematize so much. So, this went up, this went down. Now, this one went up. What, of course, what do we do? What we can do is, of course, oppose or counter the line. Instead of going up, this one should go down. So we have three choices. Will this go down to D, to B, or to G? Yes, it has to go down. So what are the choices now? This one, I would say, go down to the closest note. Why? Because it's difficult to sing when the leaps, when the intervals are too far away. Very good. So just go down here. Now, we have a B here, but this B could also be an octave lower. So I would say it's problem solved. We just put it an octave lower. So now the tenor's voice is C, C, and then it just went down one note. And then what happened here? G, A, it just go back to G. So we still have a wide open spread chord. So this will still sound very nice for a soprano, alto, tenor voice group or choir. Now we will go back to the tonic. So what is the tonic again? Our tonic is, well, we need this line again. This one, that one. And yeah, perhaps double this or double that. So what do we do now? Remember, always move. I would say always move the bass line first because it already tells you where to go. So tonic is C, and then subdominant is F. So F should go there. Dominant is G. So G is there. And tonic is C. So for your tonic, are you going to put it right there? The low C? I don't think so. Because this is already going down. Or it's too low already. Therefore, I will put this voice there. That's your tonic. So tonic, C, F, G, back to C. Okay. So now, I would say the next problem would be the soprano. Where do you want to put the voice of the soprano? Remember, you should counter the movement of the one opposite the voice. And its opposite is the bass. So the bass went up. Thus, this one should go down, should move down. But where do we put that note now? Where do we put this note? Because from here to E, an octave, then you're moving in the same direction, so you can go there. Or do you want to go down from D, you jump to here, Would you like to do that? It's actually possible. So these two, this one jumps down to there, give one another leap to there. That's possible, but it's not the best arrangement. Yeah, like if you heard what I just said, this is not the very best arrangement for this since there are lots of leaps or jumps. So why don't we? This is the additional rule. When there are too many jumps, you can double, you can triple the fifth. So this one could be triple. The fifth, oh, sorry, not the fifth, not the fifth, the tonic. Of course, it has to be the tonic. Since tonic is the most important note, then we would have to. So if there are no options with the doubling the third, or doubling the fifth, and doubling the tonic, then we can actually triple the tonic. So since this one went up already the tonic, we need this one to go down to the tonic. Then, and most importantly, there should always be a third. Okay, if you triple the tonic, it means that the other note should always be the third. Should be this. There should always be a third to determine your chord. So there it is. This is how you arrange this tonic, subdominant, dominant, tonic progression. So for this arrangement, look how the soprano moves. These two. Like that. Okay. Now here there's just minimal movements. So sol, mi, fa, do. So normally in college we would sing all of this. So we all know our voices when we're in the classroom. And then when our teacher said, okay, sing your part, we already know. I'm a tenor, then I would sing that right away. And then, of course, the rest know their um, voices too, so we would sing that just to hear the sound of the harmony that we did. So here is how you harmonize the tonic. So questions so far before we move to another set. Any questions? Questions? Are there any questions here? Because we'll have to do another set of chords or another progression. No question? Okay, so I'll have to remove this now. So looking, where would be questions now? Okay, so erase. So now applying the same technique, let's do another set. This time, well, it's still the same, but we can do something with the progression. We can add inversions. So tonic, subdominant, the same set, the same progression. Dominant, and then back to tonic. Let me just turn the AC off. Getting quite cold. Okay, so, but this time the tonic would be this. So, what's our key? What is our key signature? If that is your lowest note, answer yes, G. So, G major. Therefore, one sharp here, one sharp for F, another one up there. So, G major. So again, basically, we can double the tonic and the dominant. So let's add another note. So where do you want to put the tonic? Yeah, perhaps just here. So, and then where do you want your soprano? Where do you want your soprano to be at? Let's see. Let's make it like that. So that's the third. Now the fifth is the D. Where do you want to put your D? I would say let's give it to the tenor. And now we double the tonic. There it is. So this is quite low for the soprano. This is a very nice range for a tenor. So we will move to the dominant. What is the dominant of G major? Dominant. Dominant. What is the dominant of G major? It's this one, but we need the line, the legend line there. Subdominant. Sorry, subdominant. So this, and the legend line here. It's C major. So C, E, and G. That's the subdominant of G. So now, where do we want to go? I would say, why don't we start here this time? The soprano went up. Therefore, where would the bass go? It has to go down. So what are the notes? These are the remaining notes. And you can still double that or that. These two can be doubled. So we can keep this note for the alt already since they're exactly the same note. So now, do you want to keep this here as well? You can also keep that there if you want. But we need to determine where the bass goes. Well, the bass could either go just one note lower, then you will have to remove this one. Because that is the third. The third cannot be doubled. So if you want to put this here, then, oh, sorry, here, E. And then what's left? This is now the E. And then we can double this or that. So which one should the tenor go down here? Is an octave still safe? That is fine. Or do you want to double it like this? It's quite high. Or do you want to just double the fifth? So just go down one note lower. So again, there are three options here. The tenor could sing also a G note, which is high, but still singable for tenors. This one, the tenor could go to here or down to G if you want to double the fifth. But I suggest you double the tonic instead. So see the movement now? Went down, Just retain the voice, then here went up, went down. But how do we call this now? How do we call your subdominant? Was discussed last week. It will be called subdominant 6, meaning that's the first inversion because you inverted it. Remember, in root position, the C is the lowest, but this time the bass is E. Therefore, it's not the E that's lowest, so it's actually an inversion of the chord. So we'll have to make it subdominant 6. Now, dominant. What is the dominant of G or of this chord? Let's use the red one. The red ones. D, F sharp, and A. And then you can double this one or that one. So, where do you want to go this time? Do you want to start with the soprano or the bass? Soprano or bass? Because you can actually, either start here or here. Doesn't matter. As long as you counter the movement of the notes. So, this one, there are two possible voices to go to. One is D, with up here, and the other one is A, down there. And then for the bass, this could go up to G, since this is one of the closest ones, but the closer one would be going down to D. So which one? Where do you want to go? Can anybody suggest? Would you like to move the soprano first or the bass? And where to go? I would say, well, let's make it this way. I would put this down there. That's the 5th. And then I would double the 5th. This one would go up to there also. So, what is lacking now? We need an A and we need an F sharp. Or you can also triple the tonic if you want. So tonic is already double. Now this one could be here or up there. Already now. Because this one would go up there, and I don't think that would sound nice. Where do you want to go? So soprano went up there, bass went down there. Now, do we put another? Should we move this down to A here, so that we keep that as well? Or do we want to go to D, where it would sound, I think, much better? So we triple the Ds, D, D, and D. No 5th, since we tripled those already, the tonic. But we kept the 3rd. So the 3rd is there. Then that is still a dominant chord without the 5th. So there, the arrangement will be much better now. This will be more pleasant to listen to. And then, is there an inversion? No. No inversions at all, so we leave it like that. Now, we need to go back to the tonic. So, how do we solve this one? What is the tonic again? Of course, it's G. So, these are tones. What do you want to do? Do you want to keep the soprano voice there, like that? Or do you want to go down to this? Any suggestion? Soprano voice? Do you want to keep the voice there? D, so it's just a sustained tone? Or do you want to go down? Or do you want to all of a sudden jump to that high note? So I don't want to go up there. So two options, keep or go down. I would say it would sound maybe better if it's like this. So now the movement went down here. This should go up. So where do we go now? Since this one went down, the bass should go up. What is the tonic? The tonic is G. So there. And then we need a voice for this. This could be retained. This note could be retained here. So the F sharp goes up to G. But what will happen here? You can also just retain this voice. So there. So now the movement, and then da 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 da. See the movement? The soprano going up and then all of a sudden went down. Now the opposite, the bass goes down and then sudden going up. And then the inner voices, they were just playing there like the neighboring tones and they're just there. So questions so far? This is a very basic harmonization. So for today, we only dealt with the tonic, subdominant, dominant, and tonic. Different ways how to harmonize them. Questions so far? Any questions? Are you getting this lesson or not? Or do we need to redo this again next week? No questions? Or no idea what we just did? Or understood? Or yeah, because this is the most basic harmonization. Okay, so I will have to erase this one. One last set. Okay, still the same set though. Tonic, subdominant, dominant, and tonic. But this time, what if we start with tonic 6? I haven't given the tonic yet, so I'll give you now the baseline. Actually, for a seat work, this is what our professors would normally do. You know that the given chord here is a tonic 6. Then your professor would suddenly just put one note. This one. I'll erase the key signature. And then you're going to supply all the accidentals instead. So, if this is the bass note already, and you were asked for a tonic 6, what key are we in? No, it doesn't matter. The distance, the lead, when, let's say, for example, if the bass is going this way, and then the two voices here, this is the soprano, it doesn't have to be a lead as well. It can only be just a scale up. It can only be just one note up there, as long as you oppose or you counter the movement. Okay? Or same here. If the soprano goes like that, then this could only be like this. So out, out, out. So back to my question. If this is your tonic, the base of your tonic 6, what key are we in? Question. That's your tonic 6 base. That means this is the third in the chord. What key? Who could guess what key are we in? If this is your 6, the third of the tonic 6, because this is your bass line. That's already the given bass note. So what is the key? What key are we in? This is G natural. We're using a bass clef. Who says E? Who else says we're in E major or minor? Small letter E signifies minor. So if you're going to write major, you don't need to label it as major. You just write down a capital letter E, then it's automatically called E major. If it's a small letter, small caps, then it's minor or even diminished. So next time, just write a big letter E. But I'm not saying that that's correct already. Are we in E major? What is missing? You need to analyze. Analyze. Work your brains. Work your brains out. Come on. This is your third. What key are we in? Of course, this is a major one because of the capital letter. And you know that this is the third of the chord because of the 6th there, which signifies the third as the lowest note. So, what key are we in? How low? Give your answers, please. This is your third. What key are we in? Is it getting so difficult now? Come on. We had 2 sessions for this last week and the previous week. A. If this is the third, why would we be in A major? So using this bass, if this is the third, and you say A, and that's your third, then of course that will be the 5th. Something's not right. Or if you put it there, octave higher, that will be a chord. Come on. This is already the third. So that's the third. What's the first, or what's the tonic? So what is the lowest note now? If you're going to rearrange it. If without the 6th, what is missing? Because you already know that that's the third. Well, if this is the third, this will be the first, and this will be the 5th. But I'm not saying that this is correct already. Something is missing. What key are we in? If we say E major, then do we need 4 sharps? Or what? Because if you say we need 4 sharps, then what are the sharps? F, C, G, and D. But do you see any sharps written here? No. I did not write a sharp before that note. So analyze. That's the third, and this is already a bass. So instead of here, let's do it like that. So what now? Oops. This is the correct position. But the question now is, are we going to use E major key signature or what? Because the given one is only this. I did not put a sharp nor a flat. It's G natural. Now, just to know the rest of the tones, the missing tones, we supply now the tonic, the subtonic. Since you know that that's the third, then a third below would be the tonic, and a third up here would be the fifth. So that's already correct. But then something is missing, because what key signature are we going to use? Remember, the given one, the one I put here, is just G natural. So what key signature? Come on. Rack your brains out. Answer. Only 2 possibilities, right? E major, 4 sharps, or what's the other one? I'm not saying this is correct already, because you will need to justify why. So, should we use E major or E flat major? Which is which? Which one? No, it cannot be G because it's already the third. If this is the third, then you know that that is the middle note of the chord. If that's the third already, then there's a lower note. So it cannot be G. The G is the third. So there must be a tonic, which is E. But now the question is, are we going to use the E major key signature or E flat major, and why? No, we're talking about major because the symbol here is a big Roman numeral. So why E flat? Why E flat? If we say E flat, why is it? Why such? Why E flat? Or those who say E major, why E major? No, you cannot guess. You have to support your answer. Minor. Remember, these two were not given. That's the only given tone. So, if you put this there, you know it has to be a major chord. So, what are you going to use? Yes. Actually, if we combine the answer of play and alien, they're both correct. But then you have to support. C, since this is the given tone, and for example, let's just say you don't see the key signature because, well, I did not write any. Since this is the third already, then you know that the tonic could only be an E flat. Because you know that this is a major chord, and the fifth is also a flat. Because like what like I said, these two cannot be minor. The interval should be major. Therefore, since this is the given one, You cannot change the given one. You cannot put a sharp there to make it E major. Then everything would be wrong at that instant when you change the given one. So that's how it is in the conservatory. You will just be given like that. They put one note, and then it's all up to you to supply the rest from here to there. So that's how it is. But since you're not in the conservatory, then we'll have to solve the problem together. So now you know that these are the missing notes, E flat and B flat. So that's the given one. Let's say it's like this. I will write the frets later once we've decided where to put them. Yes, it's E flat major. The correct answer is E flat major. So let's put it here. E flat. No need to write the key signatures because we're going to put them there one by one. So now, this is already your bass because it's given. That's the 6. Now, what will be your tenor and the soprano and the alto? Well, perhaps the tenor would be this voice, and then the alto would be a little bit on the high side, B. So 1, 3, 5. What do you want to double? Let's double the tonic. Yes, there you got it. There. So now that's the given. So 1, 3, 5. We double the 1. So next, what do you want to move first? The higher note, or the topmost note, or the lowest note? So we make it subdominant. What is the subdominant? The subdominant is A flat. Wait, let me supply now the missing accidents here, here, and here. Just for you to get used with using those accidentals. So A flat, A flat, C, and since there's a flat already, I'll just put here A flat. So this is your subdominant. So how do you want to harmonize it? Do you want to go up? If we start going up, then the bass would be a bit struggling because it will go so high, I guess. So perhaps could go down. Do you want to do an inversion? Or where do you want to put the soprano? Would you like to keep that voice? It's fine if you want to do that. So let's say we keep that voice here. So we take this off. This one, we can also keep it. So what's the missing note now? This one. And that note could be, it could go down to here. What happened? This is the third. So tonic 6, subdominant, it's the third also, this also the bass, the third, then number 6. And then, what's the dominant of this one? Dominant is that's the dominant B, D, and B flat, D, and F. So this is B flat, D, and F. We kept those 2 notes, and then here we went down. where do you want to go next? The dominant is E. This is C. It could go down to B. Then that would be a root position, B. And then this E could go down here. And then F. It went down, therefore this one needs to go up. So this F goes up there. What is missing now? We need another voice. Do you want to double the fifth? Or you want to double the root, the number one? I would say double the number one. So B, another B there. Or what else? Although I'm not happy with the arrangement because these are fifths, the parallels going like that. I would say, why don't we just go down, soprano down there, and then D, and then this one up there. We can keep that down. Oh, sorry. That went down, so this one could go up there. What did we double? The third. So we have to change something. Let's remove that. So where do we go? This is D, E, and the soprano could jump from here to here, the alto here, and then the tenor can also jump down to here. Or we can also put two voices there. So soprano goes down here, alto goes down to F, tenor could also go up to F, and then C goes up to there. See the movement? Or the tenor could go also down to E. Okay? But also, when we're dealing with the dominant, pay close attention. When we're dealing with the dominant, you can also make this 6/4, or the fifth will be the one that's on the bass. So what is the fifth? It could be an F. So we can make it on 6/4. So that's the beauty of harmonization. If you don't like the arrangement, you can change the bass line. So the fifth is F. If that is already F, then this could go down to D. So D is the tonic, D, and then F. F. So the rule, when you're dealing with tonic 6/4, when it's tonic 6/4, it should be in red, and it's a tonic subdominant, you double the fifth. It works better when you double the fifth, which is F and F. In this case, we double the fifth. So double the fifth. there. And then lastly, you'll have to move back to the tonic because it says tonic. So, where do you go to now? So from F, B flat, there's a flat there, and then D. Of course, you need to go back to your home base, tonic 1. Went up, so where would that be? It could be the same note, you could retain the same note, or you may oppose the movement down there. So I would say this, keep that tone. There, so what is missing now? G and the tonic and the dominant are already supplied, so you need one more. The important note is the third, so what is the third? It's the B. Since there's the B already, then keep it. So what do we want to double now? Do we want to double the fifth, or do we want to double the octave? But look here, this is exactly the same notes, F, F, and then G, G. We need to avoid that. No parallel movements, avoid parallel movement. So we can go down to D. This will complete. All the tones are there, except that we double the fifth instead. So D, D, G, and then that's your third. So there. We will end here. So, but before we end, I need to know if there are questions. Any questions there? Questions? Hello, Ria. So, any questions there? This will get more fun in the succeeding lessons. Because now we're only dealing with tonic, subdominant, dominant, and tonic. Next would be well, I'm going to introduce to you how the progression should be when the melody is already given, and what chords you can use when you already know the given one. So, any questions so far? So in a 6/4, when we're dealing with 6/4, it could be dominant or tonic 6/4. The best note to double, if it's tonic 6/4, is the fifth. So double the fifth. It's the fifth tone or the dominant that is best to be doubled when we're dealing with the second inversion. Questions? Ask your questions. Ask any questions. This is the best part. Questions. Okay, assignment. Thank you for asking for an assignment. I'm gonna erase this. And yeah, you can post your answers, of course, in the lounge. So I'm not gonna erase that, but I'm gonna remove these. They should not be converted. So, let's put it there. Okay, assignment. It will be the same. It will be tonic, subdominant, dominant, and tonic. Okay. Okay, so I'll just give one note. Okay, you're free to change to do some inversions, starting here, here, and here. But the beginning, no, you cannot. So the given one, you may. So that's what I'm saying. You may do inversions here, except for the given one. The given one is in root position. So your tonic is do not write the key signature. I want to see how you deal with the flats. Do not write the key signature, but supply all the accidentals. Okay? Now for the homework, we have to post it in the lounge. Since we have a lounge, then yeah, we have to post it there. So that's the given note. You're free to supply the rest so you know the rule. So let's recap. You may double the tonic and the fifth, never the third. When it's not possible to double only the tonic, you can triple the tonic as well without the fifth note. Once you double or once you put three tonics, the fifth will be picked out. You don't need the fifth, but it's always important to have the third. So it could be 1 1 1 and then 3. But yeah, but it cannot be 5 5 5 and 3 because you cannot lose the tonic. So it's always tonic that well, tonic is the only tone that could be tripled as long as there's a third. Okay, next. The distance between the tenor and the alto should be equal to an octave or less than an octave. The interval or the distance between the alto and soprano should be equal to an octave or less than an octave. Now, the distance between the bass and the tenor could be an, equal to an octave or bigger than an octave or less than an octave. So you're free to really open up or to squeeze them together. It could be equal to, less than, or bigger than. And then C, avoid parallel movements, especially when you're dealing with the outer voices. Outer voices are the bass line and the soprano line. And then avoid parallel movements also when you're dealing with fifths. So no parallel fifths and no parallel octaves. That's why earlier when there was octave here between the bass and the tenor, they both went up. I said, no, you can't do that. Or if it's a fifth, so let's say F here, alto and soprano, F and C, if they both go up or both go down, same direction, if it's a fifth, you can do that as well. So those are the prohibitions. Avoid parallel movements of the outer voices or parallel fifths and parallel octaves in all voices. No parallel fifths, no parallel octaves. And then what else? When you're dealing with 6/4, if you want to do 6/4 here somewhere, it is best to double the fifth. Okay? So this is your homework. Tonic, that's already your tonic, but it's a flat. So now you have to supply the third and the fifth, and you have to determine the key that you're going to use. It's already given. The key is there. You can see it right away. So post it on the launch, in the launch. Okay? So what else? Any questions pertaining to the assignment? I'm going to erase this one because it's not part of the assignment. There. question. Any questions so far? Going once, going twice, and I think there's no more questions. So, no more questions. So, I will see you next week, and hopefully, all of you could get the correct answer. Well, there will be, I would say, no the same uh, outcome because you will be supplying the rest of the notes. So I don't know if you're going to double the fifth or double the tonic. And also how you would arrange them. Where would you put the notes? So there's so many possibilities. So I would really have to look into your work one by one. And yeah, have to tell you if they're correct or not. If you have an app about arranging, then you can hear what you're doing. Because if the placement or if the intervals or progression is actually correct, then it will be very pleasant to hear your arrangement. If not, then for sure it will sound weird. If you make a mistake, for sure it will not sound good at all. So, questions? No more questions. So I think a lot of you will have to review this session. Even if it's not that difficult, I know it's very confusing. That's normal to get confused. So once you understand this, once you understood everything, it will just stick there. This is not a difficult lesson at all. So, still waiting. Okay, so thank you for staying around, especially those who are actually not learning violin or not into music. I mean, not learning music and music reading and writing. Yeah, thank you so much for staying, Charmaine, and I saw other ones. Okay, I'm back to who else? Mama Lynn. Uh, who else? I think they're the ones who are actually not musicians at all, but they just stayed here and said hello. So everyone, of course, thank you for staying here and do your assignments. I want to see your assignments. Okay? So yeah, bye for now. We'll see. You will see me again next week. So I actually don't see you at all. So bye.